Hello and welcome to another episode of 9 to 5 Nerds with Robert Swathwood and Katrina Swathwood.
Hello.
Was that a better intro?
Than last week?
Yeah. No, it wasn't. Well, I guess it was last week.
Technically.
Speaking of last week, if you've listened to our last episode, we'll just say spoilers now. There's going to be spoilers for WandaVision in this episode. But our last episode is already obsolete.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, it's already... and we
Curtain pulled behind.
Yeah, and we talked about this cameo coming up in this episode, or not this episode, in this
most recent episode.
Well, no, we'll talk about the cameo, but in the last episode of our show, we talked about a cameo this season. Elizabeth Olsen said there's going to be an oh shit cameo like Luke in the Mandalorian, and we were speculating what it would be, whether it would be Professor X, what kind of stuff would happen, who it could possibly be,
what, when, where, why.
Yeah, and we could talk. So what was this? Was this an 80s sitcom, this one?
I think it was really early 80s. My guess was Family Ties, but I didn't look into it.
You should look it up.
Okay.
I can't quite place it, but if this is 5 episodes and there's 9 total, so we might be able to see 90s to there's some people wanting the next one to be Friends, which Friends and Seinfeld are probably the most iconic 90s sitcoms, right?
Yeah, but they're not like family sitcoms.
No, that's true. But what would be a 90s family sitcom, like Family Matters?
Yeah.
Step by Step?
Step by Step. Full House.
Oh, it's got to be Full House, right?
You would think so. That's kind of the standard.
Well, not just that. You're leaning into the Elizabeth Olsen twins.
Yeah.
So I feel like it should be Full House, but this episode had, they're building out, like the first episode was so happy-go-lucky, and I don't want to dive back into all those since we talked about them last week, but this episode doubled down on the tension, right?
Oh, for sure. It's growing at astronomical rates.
So this was episode 5, correct? Yes.
Yes.
I believe it was. So you had 3 sitcom episodes.
Family Ties.
Okay. You had 3 sitcom episodes, and then the 4th was explaining what's going on. And this one was a mix of both, right? Because you had in the sitcom or in there, and you had outside of it, and you had for the first time Wanda coming out knowing that she's
somewhere else,
that she's doing this.
Right. She's in control.
And she's acknowledging that and she's talking to the people outside. There was also a return of the accent.
Yeah.
Which I found interesting.
Well, you had mentioned that on the first episode. You're like, where's her accent?
Yeah.
And I kind of thought like, well, it's a different take. It's not like her.
She's lost her accent in the movies here and there as well.
She has, for sure.
It'll come and go and come and go.
From Age of Ultron, where she was full on crazy Sokovian accent, to like hints of the accent.
And I guess
normalization that happens.
Yeah, that does happen. But I mean, now it's back in full force. Not in the sitcom, but outside of it.
Yes.
So that's an interesting.
But she's also angry, so that might also be part of it.
Yeah, I guess that can happen. You slip
speak
back
differently.
You slip
when
back
you're angry.
into old habits, maybe. When you get pissed off.
Well, she's trying to come from a place of power that she's the one in control. So.
She's definitely the one in control.
Oh, that's for sure.
I liked, it's building with Vision. And, at first I was, you're thinking, well, he's dead. We all watched him die.
Right.
But, they got in a fight in this episode.
Yes.
So they got in a fight. And in my mind, there's no way they would get in a fight if she was controlling everything. So is she controlling everything but Vision? And if that's the case, is Vision actually alive again? Did she... I mean, we don't know.
Something's amiss, obviously. Like, we don't know the full scope of what's exactly going on with him and how he's meant to be. But no, there's for sure something going on. Because my first question was, they showed her stealing his body.
Yeah, and what were they doing at Sword with his body?
What were they doing with his body? Because, as far as we're concerned, when he was taken away from his Mind Stone and he died.
Yeah.
Essentially.
But there's also the situation where, I mean...
What did Shuri do? What did she back up?
Yeah, not only that, because she was working on him, but, I mean...
Did Sword get a hold of that?
Unless... I mean, superhero death sentence isn't always
a
the
death
end.
sentence. Correct.
People come back constantly.
Right.
So
to what extent has he come back?
Yeah, because another thing is Vision releases one of the people in this episode from her control for a minute, and he's freaking out and freaking out and freaking out. And if she was controlling him, doubling down on that, if she was controlling him, he wouldn't be freeing somebody's mind from her control.
I don't think she wants to control him. I don't think that's her end game with Vision. She wants to create a world where she gets to have the happy family life with the kids in the suburbs, having a daily life. Husband goes to work, they have dinner together. Like, she wants that life.
Yeah, no, 100%. And
she can't have that if she's controlling him.
That's true. No, that's 100% true. But I just don't know I'm hoping this season we find out is he alive? Isn't he? Because right now, to begin with, I thought he was dead. Now I'm thinking more and more that he's alive in some capacity.
Well, he has no memory.
Yeah.
And he said that a couple of times.
He can't remember
before being there in Westview.
Yeah.
So I don't necessarily think it is Vision pre-Infinity War.
It could be.
I think it's a new construct.
It's a new Jarvis inside of
I think so.
Of a bot. Like maybe Tony created a backup just in case something were to happen to him.
Backup drive, memories when wiped clean, had to reboot all the hardware. It's still essentially him. It's going to sound and look and feel like him, but it's not because he doesn't have any of that substance from before. Or
Shuri rewired everything, but he lost his memory. There's a lot of ways it can go.
Right.
I implore you if you've just listened to a bunch of spoilers, but it's really worth, because it starts off so strange. I liked it. With the first one, it was okay, but I really like the
build-up.
The build-up, the tension.
Because obviously, and then going back to that is we've seen Vision like in his real state because she let it slip for that one split second. So we know that he doesn't look like that.
Well, we don't know that's what he looks like either. That could be her having PTSD and imagining him looking that way. It could go so many different ways.
But he was moving when she saw him that way.
I understand. But you've never done anything like that? Like you've never had a traumatic experience where you see something differently?
Course.
Yeah, we all do. You have, even if somebody is... you can have a flashback of something bad that happened, and that could go either way.
Right. No, I agree with that.
But we speculated so much about who it was being. I think we were on the right track.
Yes, we were.
We talked about X-Men,
right?
And that. So, she talks in this episode about her brother
and missing him,
and telling Billy and Tommy, that he's far away. He's far away, and the kids had some traumatic experiences in this episode. Their dog died, and I like how she stopped and told them to embrace that feeling and not grow out of it because they were going to grow up more.
Right.
Which I thought was cool. But so the end of the episode, there's a knock at the door, and she opens the door, and you can see the look on her face that she's confused.
She doesn't know what's going on.
She doesn't know what's going on, and by the back of the head, you think that it's
Quicksilver.
And what's funny is our 8-year-old was saying the whole time, Quicksilver's gonna come back. Quicksilver's gonna come back. Oh, I think Quicksilver's gonna come back. And they've seen all those movies, but they haven't seen all the X-Men movies. So it pans around, and it's Quicksilver, but it's Quicksilver from the Fox movies, from the X-Men movies,
right?
So he
nice.
Thanks. She basically, I see some people saying she recast him in her mind. She recast him.
I get that. That's an interesting way of thinking about it.
When you're looking in sitcom things or with Rhodey,
people get recast. Like that happens.
It could be a recasting, but if that's really him, the MCU has officially introduced its first mutant to the MCU.
The first true X-Men.
No, there's no mutants in the MCU.
Well,
Who's a mutant?
isn't she
Her and
essentially?
Quicksilver were experimented on in Sokovia by was it Baron Zemo? Whoever
No, it wasn't Zemo. It was the other
Zemo
dude.
was the guy in the Sokovia Special Forces, right?
Yes.
So by the Baron Strucker, maybe that was it. Whatever. In Age of Ultron, they were experimented on. They were not mutants.
Okay.
Mutants are born mutants. So they are born that way. So
Okay.
he would be the first
True
real
mutant.
mutant, not somebody with abilities, because Spider-Man has abilities, but he wasn't a mutant. He was bit by a spider.
Right.
Uh,
There was a transfer.
yes, Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch were experimented on in this universe. I believe in the comics they are mutants.
Okay.
So you have a mutant for the first time.
Right.
And he's great.
Oh, he
as
is
Quicksilver.
great.
He's really good.
He's smart and quick.
Yeah, and
Literally.
I'm really no pun intended. I'm really excited to see where this goes. Does Vision recognize and realize that that's not her brother?
I don't think so.
Somebody else? You think he's going to think that it's her brother?
Well, I think he's going to believe it's her brother because she says that it's her brother.
And then that goes back to whether she's controlling him or not.
Well, I don't like we had discussed. I don't think she's controlling him, like, because if he doesn't have any memories to recall upon,
Yeah.
Oh
yeah, if he didn't have any memories, then you're right.
He wouldn't know.
He would know that that's not
Right.
because he doesn't remember
No.
the events in Age of Ultron or anything.
Right.
But yeah, so I mean that opens up so much, and to think they did it on a show and not a movie.
Yeah, no, I think that was interesting too. So what happens when Vision sees things that he's done before that he doesn't know that he did?
What do you mean?
So, like, there's all these occurrences where he destroys half that airport.
He just cuts down the control
He just
tower.
cuts down everything. Like, can you imagine him going through like a screen reel of things that he's done and not known about it because he doesn't have a memory?
Yeah.
Like, that would be infuriating. Because technically, if we're thinking along this linear path, is if she resurrected him from the dead, he has no recollection of anything that he's done prior to the resurrection.
Yeah.
Like, that's a whole life that you've lived and that you're known for, and you don't know anything about it or how to respond to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's so many different things that can happen. And this is being the first Marvel TV show. It's interesting because I guess you really don't know. I mean, they can introduce anything they want.
Right.
And we're basically getting 6 months of Marvel stuff with how the shows are going to not interact with each other, but just how they're coming out. They're staggering them to where you're going to get new Marvel stuff constantly, which is crazy because last year we didn't get anything.
Right.
It's just there's mutants now. If that's really him.
If it is. So I guess we'll have to wait and see on Friday to see what happens.
And I'm excited. Like I'm really looking forward to it. And that just
so that poses another question. If it's really him and he's actually really there, who sent him there?
Yeah, I don't. I mean, is McAvoy gonna be?
That's what I'm thinking.
This?
Like, is it gonna be Patrick Stewart? Is it gonna be McAvoy? Is Ian McKellen gonna show up in freaking Disney Plus?
Well, there's all kinds of stuff. Michael Fassbender. I mean,
like, there's so many different ways you could go. But if it's truly him there and she's not making a construct, which I don't think she could.
Well, I want to go back a little bit. When was Age of Ultron? What time period did that take place in? Not Age of Ultron. Sorry. Age of Apocalypse. Because I know it's a little tougher to find that one because the X-Men First Class and X-Men movies since then have been very stylized to the time period they're in. And now you're watching a sitcom-esque show that is very stylized by time periods. So I don't know. There's just so many ways we can go with this. I guess it really doesn't matter. You don't have to find it. I'm just curious because, I mean, is it...
Well, we're also talking about multi-dimensions, like so many different...
Speaking of multi-dimensions, Willem Dafoe was seen on the set of the newest Spider-Man movie.
Really?
Yeah. Now, obviously, J. Jonah Jameson, who was in the last movie, is the original J. Jonah Jameson.
Right.
And they were saying that Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, Kirsten Dunst, Jamie Foxx, and Alfred Molina are all reprising their roles. So I think we're getting a multiverse here that's going to be showing all kinds of stuff.
Are we going to get a Miles?
Oh, I hope so.
Like, can we see him transform from animation into like a real human?
That'd be cool. That'd be cool. Well, I mean, there's still the cinematic Spider-Man is in the same universe as he's in the MCU, and Venom and Morbius movie and Into the Spider-Verse are Sony's expanded universe. I heard today that they offered Keanu Reeves the role of Kraven the Hunter.
Really?
For Spider-Man. So that's interesting.
I don't know if he'd take that.
I don't know. I like Keanu Reeves.
Oh, I do too. I just don't know if that's going to be something he'll be interested in doing.
Yeah, I don't know. I just know that there's so many interesting things going on right now. And I am, for the first time since WandaVision's come out, I'm really looking. It's like that Game of Thrones thing where like, what's going to happen next week? That's the benefit of watching things week to week. You know, I'm. It's ironic, probably by design. Well, maybe not, because all the shows are going to be week to week, but that it's week to week, and we're talking about it, and all these old sitcoms were week to week.
Right.
But, you know, I miss that. With the last show that was like that was Game of Thrones. Like, you were waiting week to week.
Well, you had a time. You sat down and you watched it.
Yeah.
And that's what you did. And kind of even the kids knew it's Game of Thrones time.
Go play video games.
Go play video games or go do something to keep yourself busy. Like, that was just kind of how it was. And that's typically, I'm assuming that's how the average household was, where, you know, Friday night, you watch your shows.
Mm-hmm. Did you do TGIF back in the day?
I did every once in a while. It wasn't like a regular, you know, my dad wasn't watching that with me. Like it would have been me watching it by myself. And sometimes that's just not fun.
No, for sure. I get you. But I'm really excited the direction that this could go, is going to go, might go. I know
it's for sure going to explode. Like,
yeah.
That's coming. You could just see it.
Yeah, I did see that the fandom and everything online with Agent Woo. His name's Agent Woo, right?
Agent Woo.
Agent Woo from the FBI has picked up so much because somebody was pitching an idea about him having like an X-Files type show where he's investigating interesting occurrences and stuff, and it got to the point where it's actually officially being pitched to Disney. Not that it will ever go anywhere,
right?
But it's a fun
idea.
Yeah, I would like that. But no, running from WandaVision into Falcon and the Winter Soldier, there was a trailer yesterday during the Super Bowl,
right? That
looked really good. And if you haven't seen it yet, I actually posted a link on our Facebook page, 9 to 5 Nerds at Facebook, on Facebook, not at Facebook. Well, it doesn't really matter.
No, it doesn't.
But I posted the trailer up on there, and that looks really good. And the chemistry between those two guys is great.
It's great,
too.
Yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to that. But I did want to
Peggy Carter's niece is going to be in it. So
what was her name?
I don't know.
I can't remember.
It's not Carter.
But she was good too.
No, she was.
But I wanted to transition from a more, upbeat, positive MCU thing going on to a way more serious thing that we watched on Saturday night.
Yes.
We watched Promising Young Woman, which is on demand right now. We got it for $17.99, but I think it's $19.99 rental. It's
typically, yeah.
It's one of those ones that was supposed to be released in theaters, but they're releasing it on video on demand on the higher end purchasing price. Which, I mean, I know people complain about it, but I'm fine paying $20 for a movie I actually really wanted to see.
Right, we would have paid over that to go see it in a theater anyway.
Oh, for sure. So, if you don't know about it, I would check out here if you want to see it, because we are going to break it down a little bit. It's a
rough watch.
Yes.
So be prepared.
It is a rough watch. I will just break down the scenario into a synopsis. I didn't rehearse this or write anything down.
Good luck.
But it's basically a woman who was in med school whose friend was raped, and since her friend in med school was raped, her friend dropped out and she dropped out.
Yes.
And then I don't want to. We're talking about the whole thing, so we're gonna go through this. You find out that her friend killed herself.
Yeah.
But she is doing a thing where she's pretending to be drunk at bars and put in this
Not just drunk.
like hammered, blackout drunk,
Yes.
like incoherent,
Falling over.
can't take care of themselves,
Can't talk.
Yeah, and these guys, nice guys, I'm doing air quotes.
Yes.
Are taking her home because they're nice guys, and she never makes it home. She makes it to their apartment where they try to take advantage of a blackout drunk woman, who then she shows them that she is stone cold sober and scares the living hell out of them. I thought this movie was going to be basically, I knew that she was going to be doing that.
Okay.
But I thought after that it was like John Wick shit where she was like fucking dudes up. So
leaving them for dead.
Yeah.
You really don't know what she does.
Well, it's absolutely psychological warfare.
Oh, for sure.
Which can be way more vicious because then it puts it out there that, hey, there's this
lady coming around and she's looking for guys.
God forbid you not be a piece of shit. But it's an important watch, I feel, because it, just because somebody says they're one thing doesn't mean that's who they are. And it's these, like, I'm a quote unquote nice guys absolutely taking advantage of what they think is a slam dunk because they could do whatever they want with this person because she's blackout drunk.
Okay.
So, I mean, Katrina and I were talking off mic earlier today that I said that this is a movie that every teenage boy should watch, and Katrina corrected me, and rightfully so, and she said it's a movie that every teenager should watch.
Absolutely. Because
you're getting a realistic view of how anybody can be, but typically how men can take advantage of women. You dive in here because I don't want to just sound like I'm mansplaining everything, because that's not what I'm trying to do.
I know you're not. It's something that we're taught from when we're really, really young, in the sense of, make sure you watch your drinks, make sure that if you leave a drink, you don't pick it back up, make sure that your friend makes it through the door when you're going home, that you don't leave anybody out kind of stumbling around outside. There's a lot of little things that you're told along the way. And what you're never told is, you're always told about the scary unknown stranger that's going to come up and,
But so often it's somebody you know.
It's so often that it's somebody that you know. They've gained your trust. You see them every day. They really don't talk. And by they, I mean, society in general. They don't talk about a casual person who's just lying under the surface.
You need to suspect anyone, not just strangers.
So, and the thing goes, when it's an assault or a rape, it goes back to, well, what were you doing?
Mm-hmm. And
what were you wearing? Why were you doing that? It's never about the decision that the predator makes. It's about the victim shaming. So,
what did you do to make this your fault?
Right. And then when people do come forward, they don't believe them, or they say things of, oh, maybe you misunderstood something.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're so ready to explain away bad choices, especially by white men, because they're so important in our society.
Well, it's like when they put out the article for Brock Turner and they put out his swim times.
Right.
Nobody fucking cares about your swim times.
Even
You're
the judge
rapist.
said, I don't want to ruin this guy's, future. Like, who's going in to ruin somebody's life? Like, he literally
made this decision.
Made a decision. He had the opportunity to say, I was blackout drunk too. I didn't make the right decision. I made a wrong decision. I shouldn't have done that. And if he would have done that, I don't think he would have gone to trial. Because what?
I don't know. We're just speculating here.
I'm speculating. And because I actually read her op-ed about what she wrote about what happened. Mm-hmm. She honestly wanted recognition. And that's what so many women want when it comes to abuse and assault, is they want the recognition that it happened, mm-hmm. and that the person recognizes it and they know it's wrong.
But in the Brock Turner case, it was just...
It was egregious. Yeah. It was awful. Two guys had to chase him down and tackle him
And those guys said they were in tears. I mean,
he knew what he did was wrong, and instead of owning up to shit that you do, they just tore her through the street.
Well, because I mean, in all of this, what we're talking about with this Brock Turner case, all of this has gone over in this movie.
Absolutely,
all of it. And I don't want to give away some of the payoff moments because there's some that are so incredibly good, like with the dean at the college.
Oh yeah.
Oh, so good. She's
teaching them a lesson.
Her name? Carrie Mulligan, is that her name?
Yes.
She was extraordinary.
I now want to watch the sequel to Wall Street. Have you ever watched Wall Street?
No.
Okay, so Wall Street's a great movie.
Mm-hmm.
And she's in the follow-up to Wall Street.
She was really good in this.
She plays Michael Douglas's daughter in the new spinoff of Wall Street. So my mom told me about that. So I might have to add that to our list of watchings.
But no, this movie hits on all those notes.
I like that it was the funny, smart, clever men who were chosen for the spots. Because it's not some like overly glamorous guy, not some like, macho man.
Nope.
It's the funny,
One of them was from the OC, right?
Yeah.
One of them was McLovin, Christopher Mintz-Plasse.
Yeah.
And there's a guy further along that's Bo Burnham. And there's another guy along that is the guy from Glow.
Yeah.
I don't know his name.
I don't either.
Sorry. But it's such a powerful movie to watch. It's something else. Like, I can't recommend it enough. I feel like it is a must watch because it brings it full force to your attention, and
how destructive something like that can be. And it didn't even happen to her.
No, it happened to her best friend.
Happened to her best friend, but like it's something that is so devastating.
She had some survivor's guilt.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. And
the video thing, I watched a documentary on Netflix and the name's escaping me. And it was about these two girls. And they had both been raped and assaulted. And one of them, she was videotaped and all these guys were doing stuff to her. And she was so ashamed that she killed herself.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you're now living with all this, private information out being shared and laughed about and poked fun about amongst all your peers.
Yeah.
She just felt that there was no coming back from that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just one of those things that people think is, oh, it's funny. Because even on the video when he says, oh, put your phone away.
Yeah.
Like.
It's tough because I don't know. I wouldn't say, I would say I enjoyed the movie. I appreciated it. I mean, it's a good movie.
It was shot extremely well.
Everything. And there is some dark humor thrown in there. So it's not 100% just in your face, a movie that's just going to, trying to find the right words. It's not 100% just
depressing.
Depressing. Man, I'm really reaching for the word and I can't quite find it. There's not comedic relief because that's not what it is at all, because it's a serious fucking issue. You're looking at
it's a spotlight on somebody who's clearly depressed and clinically depressed, mm-hmm. and dealing with that rage and anger in a not constructive way, but in a way that she feels that she's getting revenge for mm-hmm. what happened. And, she gets sidetracked a little bit because she starts to feel happy.
Yeah.
And, maybe she doesn't have to be in this prison of revenge and self-pity and self-hate. And, maybe she can be happy, and then that just gets crushed. And I think at that point, she's just like, well, there's nothing else for me.
And there was some, other than the source material and how powerful the movie was, there's some really good performances in it. She's really good. Alfred Molina's in it for a split second, and he was
spot on.
Oh, wow. He was really good. He was... Yeah, I really recommend it. I'd give it a solid A. Like I honestly want to watch it again
because I think there's a few things that I missed.
There's some subliminal stuff. Like we were watching it and I could hear this. It was a orchestra playing a song. I'm like, I know this song. Somewhere in
Right.
my mind, I know the song. And later you told me it was Toxic.
Right.
Which, I mean,
It's fitting.
there you go. So I just really feel like it's a powerful movie. And, you know, as soon as Parker's old enough, like we've already built the groundwork on a lot of stuff already with him just being 11 years old. You know, it's discussing a lot of things in
A different context.
more basic terms and not
Right.
as direct, but building that foundation to know when he's older what's wrong and what's right and what to do and what you can do.
What does no mean?
Yes. Oh, big time, because just, you know, that's why I make such a big deal about saying no and respecting people when they say no for stupid shit.
Right. The dumbest things.
Because when it's something important, hopefully that voice in his head.
Hey, they said no. Maybe I shouldn't do that.
Yes. And you know, not only that, but I'm hoping that these two boys that we're raising will not only not be part of the problem, but will be an ally in the fight for the right thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know, I'm really
Because
hoping.
it just takes one person in those instances to say, "What the hell are you doing?
Yeah, what the fuck are you doing?
Like, why is this happening?"
Yeah.
Because I know that there was a few. I watched a couple. I watched too many of these documentary things.
This, by the way, isn't a documentary.
No, it's not. It's clearly fictional.
And some of the payoffs are pretty good.
Yes, no, they're great. But no, like there's some men who do that, and these boys were like, "Why are you passing that around? Like, why do you even have that?" And when you have that person that kind of confronts you, unfortunately, a lot of these boys, and I say boys because they don't know what they're doing, they kind of go, "Oh, it's just for fun. It's just for jokes." Like, you know, passing around private images of somebody just for fun is not okay.
Yeah. And I can tell you that that's a thing that happens a lot.
Oh, for sure.
Because, I mean, I've never had anything, and I'm being 100% honest, I've never had anything sent to me. And I'm probably in the minority.
Oh, I'm for sure in the minority.
I've never had anything sent to me, and I'm thankful for that. And I have had friends that have had stuff sent to them that's highly inappropriate, and I'm just like, how do you react to that? I mean, I had a friend recently just send me a naked picture of a model, and I'm like, can you not send me that kind of stuff? I'm not a prude or anything, but I'm just, I don't like exchanging naked pictures of stuff.
I guess, does it make it more too close to home since you know them and you talk to them that, you know,
What if you knew the person that was naked? That
I guess that would even be a different story, but you know,
well, because I knew a guy who would no, you know, I don't want to go down there.
yeah, don't go that way.
I would just say he would send naked pictures, and it was just inappropriate. Not in that aspect of this movie like that, but
I also think it's the culture that you're in, because some people see that as a normal thing.
Yeah.
And, you know, I didn't grow up with that.
Nor did I.
And, you know, not to say that I'm a prude. I don't think that's necessarily true.
I think we're kind of blurring the lines of what we're talking about.
I think so too. But no, I think personal photos are personal photos.
Mm-hmm.
And I know when people's photos get leaked online, like that's like the first thing people go and look at to see, oh my God.
Well, and if you're talking about things handled differently between men and women, it wasn't leaked. Chris Evans accidentally had a picture of himself that he posted nude. And everybody's like, oh, well, let's give him some respect. Oh, which absolutely give him respect. It was an accident. But those people didn't give that same respect to Jennifer Lawrence when those pictures were stolen.
Oh, for sure
and
not.
leaked, and they were stolen.
That happens to a lot of women.
Yes.
A lot of their stuff is hacked and then sold to the highest bidder.
Their fault.
Right. Because they have it on their devices. Like
Chris Evans didn't post for a while, and his next tweet was, now that I've got your attention, please go out and vote.
Use your platform. No, it's one of those things where, you know, to each their own. You want to send photos of yourself to somebody and you are comfortable with that.
Mm-hmm.
Good for you.
Yeah.
I couldn't do that. I don't have the balls to do that.
I've never sent one.
I'm not that confident in my body, nor have I ever been. So the fact that I would memorialize it on my phone and then send it to somebody,
Yeah.
like that just makes me, I feel mortified just even thinking about it. But to take that and to pass it around, I just think that breaks a line of trust.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong sending each other pictures to two people
Consenting people?
Yeah, two people that are consenting adults doing that.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with that, and it'd be nice if you didn't have to worry about those things getting out, but
Unfortunately,
that do, and
are
if
assholes.
you're a woman, you're going to be blamed for it.
Right. Why did you send that? Why
Yeah.
did you take that picture?
You put yourself in the situation.
Yes, you put yourself in that situation.
And that goes back to this movie. Oh, you're drunk? What were you wearing? How much did you have to drink? Where
Right.
were you? Why weren't you home?
We get these allegations all the time. Well, yeah, because they're probably happening.
So I feel like, we're going to sign off here in a second. It was an important movie. I highly recommend it. I really feel like it's an important watch. I know we kind of blurred the lines here talking about pictures and
Right.
and stuff like that, and I don't want anything to be misconstrued. So, but I'm not editing this episode either. This is an uncut episode. It's coming out to you. These are our thoughts, and this is how we thought in real time.
I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, I did too. Great performances all around. Really strong message. It's a gut punch. It really is. But it was a gut punch in the way that like Spotlight was.
Well, she tried to give them an out.
Oh,
and
yeah.
she would say, "What are you doing?"
Yeah.
Or, "No, don't do that." Like she was putting up the barrier that
Can you get me a ride home?
that we're talking about.
Yeah.
Like, and that's the and the enablers too just fucking piss me off. Like that Uber driver. Like he knew that wasn't the destination. That's not he's like, that's not the address on the app.
She was giving a lot of exits
Right.
on the freeway.
Right. Like, so she was giving them opportunities to make the right decision. They continuously decided against the right decision for what they wanted.
Yeah, no, 100%. But yeah, I go watch the movie. It's worth the $20. Make yourself popcorn, get yourself a drink, and watch it because you'd be paying more at the theaters anyways.
Very true.
And we want more movies. We want more content. So if this video on demand thing works, we will get more movies coming out that way.
Right.
It's not all going to be HBO Max situations where they're just going to be like, all right, we're going to give you everything.
That's definitely nice though. Thank you.
It is. Man, that was a serious movie.
It was. I like the colors in it too.
It was beautifully shot. I really don't. I'm trying to rack my brain and go through everything to think if there's anything that the movie that was unnecessary or not good.
I didn't really get the whole thing where she stopped her car and like did the taillights and the windshield. So I kind of want to rewatch that scene and what happened before it to see why. I think it was after she had the meeting with the dean.
Okay.
And I think she just was upset
Mm-hmm.
and wanted to break some shit. But what she did to Allison Brie was fucking fantastic.
Oh yeah, we won't give away everything
That was
on
great.
here, but yeah, that was phenomenal. I mean, it's
The planning,
yeah.
the foresight.
Psychological warfare can be so much better than anything. Like I told you, I thought it was like John Wick. I'm much happier the way that this was rolled out.
Yeah.
It was done so well. But we could talk about it ad nauseum and
We could.
and
That'd be boring.
we
for
got
you
our
all.
point across. I hope you
Yes.
guys understand where we were coming from, and I know there was a few thoughts in there that were kind of muddled, a little bit here and there when we were trying to go from the movie to pictures to blah blah blah. But I think you all got the point, right?
Yes, I agree.
Yeah. Okay. So that'll be this episode. We'll be back in a couple days and record another one. Hopefully we'll be getting some guests on soon. Not in-house. It'll be not even socially distanced. It'll be
Video call.
Video call. So that is it. By Odin's Beard.